Alright, for this month's giveaway, I've decided to go something a little more classical. And that is the Yamaha Natural Sound Receiver R-S201. And it is obviously a full-size amplifier. There's an SA50 for size comparison. Little tiny thing and big thing. Not quite as massive as like a full-size surround receiver, but still pretty big. Dimensions, you ask. Dimensions. I have those. 17 wide, which is standard. 11.5 deep to the face. You got to account for the knob, and you also got to account for speaker wire and stuff in the back. So, figure a foot plus. And then height, it's 5.5 inches high. Now, don't think you're going to put your monitor on this or anything else that's going to cover these vents. These pretty vents. See? I think that's a warning symbol for heat rising. Because you're going to damage something. So, if you do want to have your monitor go on this isn't the best metal. It's a little chintzy, and then add several hundred holes to it, and the little chintzy becomes like flexible. But if you did want to put your monitor up here, which I would assume if you're going to put this on your desk, you're either going to have it to the side or have to build a little table thing. I'm sure IKEA has something that is like, you need about 1.5 inches to 2 inches just to allow air to go in the sides from the bottom and convex out. Now, I've taken the, well actually let me look at the front of it first before I rip it apart. LCD display, bass, treble, input. There's no balance controls in the front of this, yet they're on the remote. 1/4-inch headphone, A and B speakers, digital knob, so it just keeps turning. It's a very nice knob actually. The back has really 4 inputs: CD, line 1, line 2, and line 3, which has a recording pass-through. In case you were to record to your mini disc station. I know all of you are doing that nowadays. FM and AM antennas, and A and B speakers that are crappy spring connectors and will not, the spring connectors won't even take a banana. They're not big enough, so no Zawayas for you unless you custom order those. I don't recommend disassembling this unless you know what you're doing, because you can get electrocuted because the capacitors do hold charge. So here's the basic structure of a real amplifier, a Class AB. You've got your big-ass transformer, and it's not the biggest transformer ever. It's not even tordial, but it's there. Here's your capacitors, your main capacitors. Here's your heatsink array with it's got to be a thermal shutdown. That's what that is. Your ribbon cable that comes to the front. Here is your headphone interrupt, which you can see comes all the way back here and just mounts to the board. So there's no actual amplifier up here. It's just a takeoff, which means that the main amplifiers, the power speakers, are powering the headphones. So again, if you're going for high-end headphones, you probably are going to want to avoid using them in this. Normal headphones, every day, just casual use, fine. But you're not hooking up Mad Dogs to this to do critical listening. Some nice little components in here. It's simple, plain. They're not even doing solder traces. They're doing external traces. That's perfect. Quality caps, can't tell. Chinese relays. Are those Chinese relays? This might be Japanese relays. A little thing here's for the antenna. It's a standard fare. There are your 4 amplifiers. It's, I mean, well built. Okay, yes. Oh, you could even, I might, now I'm giving this one away, so I'm not going to modify it. But if I were you, I consider making a detachable plug, because it really sucks when these things don't come off. So I'm going to stop the recording, put the cover back on this, because I'm not going to turn it on exposed like this. You know, it's a space for air. Air needs to come around and do things. Don't mess up the air. So, all right, putting this back together. Plug into the kilowatt. We're using 1 watt, sitting here off. Here's the remote control it comes with. I actually kind of like this shape. It's got a lot of stuff on it though. Obviously this Yamaha stuff down here. Disc skip left and right. This is for a CD player if you have an optional Yamaha CD player, which I don't know if you're going to. I mean, 98% of people who buy this are not going to have an optional Yamaha CD player. Menu, I can't seem to get to do anything. Volume, mute, dimmer, which is nice for the front. Balance, left and right. Bass and treble controls, speaker A/B switch. I think these you use for navigating through tuning, although tuning has its own jump, memory info. lines 1, 2, 3, CD, FM, and AM, and then you can set the sleep timer on this, which is good if you fall asleep a lot. Narcoleptic. Made in Malaysia, which should be pointed out. It's not China, it's Malaysia. Malaysia. I'll plug it in back here. Right. These are some wires I had thrown together a while ago. They're going to my Yamaha XRM 6.1s. They're actually a little bit too long. Just a little bit too long. So I will shorten them. We're going to go to A. We're going to go to the speaker output A. These are really, really tiny and shitty spring connectors. Tinier and shittier than most speakers, like cheap speakers, which I just found odd. You know, this isn't it's a $150 amp, so you know the fascia looks great. Ignore this bit, you won't have these problems because you're not going to be using soldered Zeos connectors that were done in a rush. Alright. Up and in, and up and in. Now, if you go back in time into my other video where my first hookup of a 2.1 subwoofer system, you'll see I use the B channel to go to the speaker ins on a sub like this. And that still applies. And that would just give you the ability to turn the subwoofer on and off. But you also, if you don't have the subwoofer in line through the speakers, it can't cut off the frequencies and keep them for itself. So if you want to do that, you can. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. On the Martin logo, it doesn't matter because there's only a single set. There's no pass-through. So you would be able to run another set of wires straight to B and then literally just turn off the subwoofer or turn on the subwoofer. Or turn off the speakers and leave on the subwoofer. Maybe you're that kind of person. Let me spin this around. Right round, baby, right round. Oh, God. It's actually pretty heavy. It's a hefty little thing. Now, that transformer is not weightless. That's fine, that's fine. Now I have the source. Here's my Audio Engine D1 on the laptop. Oop, smashing into that. That's not good. I'm going to plug this into the CD input. Where am I looking? Left, left. Alright, so there's CD input from my DAC / headphone amp. Let's even plug in these things. We've got AM antenna, which again they've stripped them really far, I'm not sure why, and FM antenna, which is have looped sort of up there in that direction. That's it. We're ready to go. Oh, put that on. See what's going on. Power. Main on. Main screen turn on. Someone set up us the bomb. Let's do tuner first. Let's do FM. The volume down. I may have the volume down. Nope, volume's up. Oh, I don't have a speaker enabled. Okay, I do. Oh, I meant to be tuned. Hold on. Tuning. There we go.
I'm Dave Rothenberg with your Fantasy Focus, giving you some tips for this weekend's plays. Brandon Oliver, top 10 running back. I don't care who's on by. This little guy from San Diego's been very, very good. Top 10 play.
Yeah. A little auto-tune, if you hold it, it does. There you go.
Has died at the age of 55 in Los Angeles of natural.
All right. AM. 10-10 wins? Yes.
Flip a switch. That is the product of too much television.
Tommy says the encrypted phone is like a safe that can't be cracked or a closet door that won't open, saying the new technology which protects user information can also impede a wide range of criminal investigations. And he really put Apple and Google on blast after the company's recent announcement that their new operating systems are encrypted or protected by
Oh my God.
Wins News Time 7:14. We're back with sports.
Cancer.
Cancer. All right, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, don't encrypt your stuff. That's our stuff to look at. Fuck you! Government wants to touch my stuff! It's nice of them. Alright, I hate touchpads. There we go. So the volume goes from mute to 1 to 100, which you can get to about 60 on these before they get like real loud. That's 70, that's real loud.
Walking through the streets of Soho.
Now these are actually pretty efficient speakers, so if you had hard to drive speakers and you put them to 70, you'd still have 30 more percentage of loudness, I guess. We could do bass and treble adjustments remotely. Balance adjustments are interesting. Oh, the speaker's wired backwards, but you can't tell because you have a mono microphone, and only I am admitting to this fault. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Alright, bass up. 0 plus 10 to negative 10.
Little old lady got mutilated late last night.
Bass is way too high. Mute. Mute is a full mute, doesn't do negative 20 or anything. So, FM, AM, we could adjust everything with balance on the front of this unit. That's so weird. You get memory, info. I'm not sure what info does. It's on mute. Mute. Nothing. Alright. So, big speakers need big amplification. The SA50 back there is about 70 bucks and gets you around 35 watts really clean. It's, it's supposed to be 50, but it's a T-amp and they're always exaggerated. So about 35 watts clean. And 35 watts clean is a lot. So this is 100 watts per channel. And I imagine since it's AB, it's going to be pretty clean up to like 90% of that. So 90 watts per channel. So it's a very big jump. It is a double jump that you require to go from a little amp to a big amp. Don't bother if you're going to add 10 watts. If your amplifier is 50 and you're going to get a 75 watt amp, it's going to make no difference. The fact you go from a T amp that's 50 to an AB amp that's 100, that's a difference. That is a legitimate difference. This will probably power any towers you have that are greater than 4 ohm. Don't throw 4 ohms on this. I can't tell you how well it's going to perform. And make sure that while you're playing it, you feel the heat. I haven't really gotten it up hot enough to concern myself. Input select here. Ooh. Let's plug some headphones in. Well, actually, let's discuss headphones. Here's my brainwaves, which everything matches with the black and the gray and the finish. Again, beautiful finish. Yamaha has really, ever since those 4890 speakers or the 4940 speakers, whatever the giant speakers were, pretty much sold on Yamaha being a pro company for looks. They may make it out of that, but the front is probably also that. Just a really nice finish. Let me leave this. Look at that. Can you see it? It's as pretty as it is in pictures. Now, like an old school amp, you can play speakers and headphones simultaneously. So I have to shut off speaker A, and now my headphones are playing. But they're playing at whatever volume that was at. Let's take a peek at this. Alright, so that's about right where I want my headphones to be sitting, and the volume is around 55. If I turn on the speakers, that's good. It's a little low. So what I would probably do is turn it up to 65. And then what that's going to do, if you leave your headphones plugged in while you're playing speakers, is now the headphones are going to play at 65 if I put this to 65. Now the headphones... And you can't tell So you got to be real careful that if you leave your headphones plugged in this all the time, that you're not pushing this and the speakers so loud that your headphones explode without you knowing it. This is another reason I miss those little dials that used to be here for adjusting the volume of a headphone. If you have an inline volume control, you could take care of this problem. But I don't think any of you are actually going to have that usable. So, unplug your headphones, or remember to shut off. Well, you're going to have to shut off your speakers anyway when you're using your headphones. But when you turn them back on, remember that these are still going. Alright, so, not much to say. It's an amplifier. It works really well. It's old school design. It looks pretty. I kind of wish that the lettering here wasn't the old school blue. I wish it was sort of like a red. One of those old deep reds. Yeah, red. But, you know, whatever. Whatever. If this is this could be on my first stereo setup. This is what does it right here. This thing. If you're looking at this video going, I want to build a 2.1 for my television, this. Now, it doesn't have any digital inputs, as you can tell. So you would need, I don't think I have it just hanging out here anymore. I used to have it just hanging out. But you need a FiO D3, which is just a fiber optic or coaxial digital input, and RCA outputs. So you buy this for cheap. If you're simply sticking to a stereo setup or a stereo and a subwoofer setup, you can get this. It's cheap, it's light, it's actually smaller than most. And you could just run either analog inputs from your television or cable box. A lot of people don't realize their cable boxes have outputs or digital satellite receivers, and you don't have to even get your TV involved. You could just go cable box, stereo out to this, and then either control volume on that, or you have a remote. That's what this is what this is for. It's why it's on my lists. It's got a remote. If that SA50 had a remote and another input, I probably wouldn't even look at this. But it doesn't. So now you got to go way up and double the price, and you get 4 inputs, 2 speaker outputs, giant box, but you get twice the wattage plus. So this is the big step up. Big step up. And in the living room, this is the easiest. Actually, in the living room, the easiest thing is you just get a 5.1 receiver, which I don't think I'm ever going to really test in this channel because there's just so many, and I'm never going to point out one particular one that's got amazing features. They're just HDMI ins, run all your sources to it, run 2 speaker outs, sub out, set it up, run Audacity if you feel the room needs it, and you're done. But dedicated, vinyl. If you're playing vinyl, you don't need a 5.1 receiver. If you're playing just off your computer, just music, you don't need a 5.1 receiver. They make this model, this stereo receiver. Yamaha makes like 4 different models that just get higher and higher and higher and more crazy. The next one up, which is double the price, actually less power, but cleaner. So you can keep that in mind. It's like 75 watts a channel, but the distortion goes from I think on this, at the highest thing, it's 0.1, but it goes to 0.001 or 0.01. And then as you get higher and higher into like the $700 version of this, it's like crystal clear insanity and back to 100 watts. So this is a brute. This is a mean dump truck engine that'll power your speakers. It may not have all the fidelity in the world, but it has a lot of the power you need. A lot of it. So, sleep timer, 120 minutes, 90 minutes, 60 minutes, 30 minutes, or none. And your power's off. Oh, we didn't even look at the wattage. Turn this on. Turn on 9 Inch Nails. Let's do a wattage check. 26, 25, 24. 24, volume. Loud. 60 watts, 70 watts. Yeah. Definitely not as efficient. I'm pretty sure my SA50 at loud uses about 8 or 10 watts. So this is 70 watts at loud. So if you're a green freak, you want to stick to T-amps. If you don't give a shit about trees or the environment, you can look at this. Just don't leave it running all day. I mean, at like this volume, it's 17. At like normal volume, it's 20, 22. It's pretty much an exponential gain once you start really hammering it. It's gonna, if it can do 100 watts per channel and it actually hits that, then it's gonna suck 100 watts per channel out of the wall. So you'll have a 200 watt electric bill, which you'll never get to. You'll never get, if you put 100 watts, if you have this maximum and you're listening to it and it's okay, you probably need a bigger amplifier, bigger than this. You start looking at the A500, which is actually only about 125 watts at 8 ohm, but then can bridge mono into 500. That one's stupid. Look at the video of that one. Good, Richard Cheese, I can't play anyway. So, there you go. I'm sure this is way too long and now it has to be edited together, those two pieces. Mono. Les Elgart. Hawaiian War Chant Twist. Got a nice feeling volume knob. Nice and smooth. More videos coming up this week.